Hi, let's look at how we can develop mobile apps, what mobile apps are. So, if you're very new to programming or software development, web development, mobile app development, there are two things. One, you have the desktop or the computer, laptop, where you have the websites, and this is a website and it's normally developed with JavaScript, HTML, CSS on the front end, and back end could be anything like Java or any other C sharp or different languages. And here we are going to talk about mobile apps, that is you have mobiles and smartphones. So whatever application which runs on it, like your WhatsApp or your browser on the mobile, or any Twitter account, or any small apps you might have, which you install with either with Google Store or on the iPhone, you will have a different set of apps. So let's talk about these application development, how it's working, and what are the basics about it. So mobile apps are basically software applications specifically designed to run on mobile devices such as smartphones and tablets. And these apps are basically developed to perform various tasks such as they provide specific services to users, ranging from entertainment, social networking to productivity and utility tools. So mobile apps can be categorized into main two categories, that is native apps and web apps or hybrid apps, which I'll go into detail now. So but basically that's the thing, it's just a piece of software which runs on your mobile. And in mostly in Android, you have the Android as an operating system, like you have Windows operating system, you have Android operating system on which different mobile apps can be developed, or you have iOS, which is a operating system on iPhones, over which you develop apps. So these are two different platforms over which you develop apps in mobiles. So as for native apps are developed for specific mobile operating system, example iOS and Android, and using platform specific programming languages and development tools. They offer best performance and user experience because they leverage on full capacity of the device's hardware and software. Native apps are typically distributed through app stores like Apple App Store or Google Play Store. That is, native apps means it is developed based on the operating system, that is iOS or Android. And because it's developed natively, so it's more effective and the performance will be fast. Something like you write a software based on the hardware schematic, so it just or hardware schematic. So the native apps will be understanding or will have lesser interfaces, lesser levels, so that the software will run more effectively. So native apps are typically distributed through App Store. Like if you are having iPhone, it will be Apple App Store or Google Play Store. So once you install it, it will be available on these stores for you to use. So as for web apps or hybrid apps, web apps are essentially mobile optimized websites that are accessed through mobile browser, and hybrid apps combine elements of both native web apps, allowing developers to use web technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript to create user interface while still accessing device specific features like native wrapper. Hybrid apps are easier to develop than native apps and can be deployed across multiple platforms. So this is what basically you have this Firefox or Chrome browser on your mobile, and with this browser you can basically go to any website. And if you go to any website, each website is could be a different application. So that's what they are calling as web apps. And this basically we can just develop with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and it's less complicated compared to native apps, which requires a different development environment, different programming languages and stuff. So these are two different kinds of application development on mobile apps. So let's look at how does mobile apps basically work. So you have a user interface. So mobile apps basically present a user interface through which the users interact. This user interface can include various elements such as buttons, menus, and forms. So when you open any app, you'll have a set of buttons or forms which you can click or enter details and or multimedia content. So this is basically the user interface. That is what the user interacts with the app. So this is the front end or the user interface where you click something and then something happens. Backend services. Most mobile apps rely on backend services to perform tasks such as data storage, authentication, and business logic. These services are typically hosted on remote servers communicating with the mobile app. So this is basically the same where once you click a button, something happens. So you are using some, for example, Deliveroo or some food delivery app. You are ordering something. So once you press play or pay money, then what happens is it goes to a backend. So this data is packed up and sent over the network to a remote server, and then which checks for your bank details, and then if there's enough money, then the data comes that it payment succeeded, and then the order is processed. All these are backend services. So once the order is processed, then it will be going to the server again, to the food delivery company, and they will be processing the order. So all these are backend, which backend we say it because it doesn't, it you won't see it. So you just click the button and everything is running in the backend. That's backend services. And device features. Mobile apps can access various features and capabilities of the device such as camera, GPS, accelerometer, and contacts list. So this allows apps to offer functionalities like taking photos, tracking location, etc. So mobiles have recently had new devices coming up, that is camera, GPS, accelerometers, and these are hardware devices in the mobile. And with this we can develop additional applications which can use these hardware. So this allows for example, GPS is used to track the location of the mobile, and through some piece of software or the app, we can use the GPS on the hardware, and then we can track the mobile. And also camera, with any small application, we can use the camera hardware or accelerometer. So these are hardwares integrated into the mobile devices, and the software will be or the apps will be able to use it or access these hardware for the user interface, like taking photos or tracking locations. These are the device features. So other parts of how does mobiles work. Data storage. Mobile apps often need to store and retrieve data locally on the device. This can include user preferences, app settings, cache content, and offline data. So data storage is mobile apps often need to store and retrieve data. So whatever you store, your user profile or settings has to be stored locally, or it can also be stored remotely. So these are some data storage options for the apps. Networking. Mobile apps frequently need to communicate with remote servers to fetch data from internet or send data to backend services. So this invokes HTTP requests over the network using APIs or other communication tools. So networking is crucial, because there's no point in having a mobile app and then you're not able to connect to any network. Then you can't send data to a remote place and then access something. So this is done with HTTP requests over network and using APIs and other communication protocols. This comes under communication. Then security. Mobile apps must implement security measures to protect user data and ensure integrity of communications. This includes encrypting sensitive information, implementing authentication mechanisms, and securing network connections. So this means when you are sending some data over the network, it can be it should not be easily accessible to other people. So it has to be encrypted. So that will be, the data will be jumbled up, and on the received side, it will be again recovered on a specific pattern. For example, if you have 0 to 10 and you're sending this data, so this will be jumbled up by adding additional numbers, and then on the receiving side these numbers will be removed. So then you will be at the end receiving the 0 to 10 only data. So but in between no one can access it because you are scrambling the data. So that's what is one form of encrypting the sensitive information, so that the data is not accessible in between, because technically it's possible. So once you send the data, technically it's possible to see the data and access the data because it's on the internet, and internet is normally not secure. So you have to add more security measures so that people will not be able to access the data in between the transfer.